I'm sure a lot of people may feel the same way, that on weekends or holidays it can be extremely difficult because we either go to this extremely anxious state or extremely non-motivated or depressed kind of state, especially when it's unstructured. So this is the first trigger. In anxious state, we are experiencing too much feelings. We just experience too much stimulus and we just cannot seem to simmer down or just calm ourselves down. But in depressed days, maybe we feel indifferent, we feel numb, we feel unmotivated. We don't seem to be particularly excited about something, or we don't seem to be particularly passionate about something. It's easy for us to go on those two extremes. We either feel too much or either we don't feel anything. We become numb to a point that we might dissociate from this situation, that we don't feel anything, we don't experience any feelings. We're totally disconnected from our body. If we don't have much of a plan on weekends, it's just easy for us to be taken over by those intrusive thoughts, memories, experiences, and to a point that we find it difficult to keep track of time. We might dwell on negative experiences for too much. We might get pulled into those emotional swirl and find it hard to get back to reality. And when we're in those struggles in our mind, when we're trapped in those voices and nagging senses of something bad is going to happen, something's extremely unsettling and uncomfortable, we might be ashamed for no reason because we don't know why this is happening, and we feel like we're the only ones going through those states, because for other people they seem to be having a lot of fun on their weekends. They seem to be cuddling each other, they seem to be all over each other, and they just have this fulfilled life that they're going through, they're experiencing. While for us, we feel like we're drifting through the thoughts and we're exhausted from fighting those things internally. So a sense of reality really can help us pull ourselves out of the state. So the tip here to handle this trigger is to really have structure for your weekend, for your holiday. Just like usual, like when you go to work, you have a list of things to do. You can arrange them in whatever works the best for you. For example, on weekends, I will have a schedule as well, because when I know that I have those things to do, I wouldn't be so panicking. I wouldn't feel like I'm drifting through life. I would feel more fulfilled, and also I will leave time for myself to be grounded, to practice mindfulness, to really sculpt myself as a piece of art. I know exactly which part I need to work on myself so that I can feel better. And one thing my therapist often told me is that you can try to do things that make you feel better. So it sounds simple, but I want you to really take in this information and feel it in your body level and understand the situation. What can I do to make me feel better? So maybe I'm gonna have 3 meals a day. I want to have necessary nutrition every day so I can feel more grounded. I wanted to take an hour to go to the gym so that I can feel like I'm connected with people, so I can feel this sense of achievement when I do those things. I also need half an hour in the park without my phone, because I can soothe myself by experiencing all those senses from mine. And those are the things I need, not what I think would be looking fun to other people, not what I think people would applaud me for, just for me. Having everything written down helps you become more focused and attentive on things at your hand. But one tip is to not over plan. It's not to exhaust yourself by hitting all those things at all time, I don't have to face my feelings anymore. Don't do that. I want you to really leave time for self-reflection and mindfulness, those really nurturing activities. Don't try to use activities, don't try to use things to avoid feeling. For people who lack a sense of self, we really don't know how to take care of ourselves because we have no definition of who we are. We build our identity around other people. This is a false self. This is not a true sense of self. A true sense of self means that you know what your boundaries are, what your preferences and opinions are. You know what you want in life. You know what you need to work on to have what you need in life. and you just build the senses on yourself, on your inner perceptions, on your well-being, instead of looking from the outside and see what they want, what they like about you. And I'm gonna have another video talking about a sense of self and how to build and enhance the sense of self, which is the most important thing, in my opinion, for self-esteem. The second trigger is isolation and loneliness. For this, I don't mean solitude. I'm not saying that you intentionally choose to be by yourself to self-reflect. I'm talking about the sense of being left out, being alienated, of being unwanted by people. So when I was a teenager, one thing I have tried out is to hang out with a group of people. I find myself extremely alienated and lonely because I often get triggered easily. Normally they wouldn't notice my state, but I myself know that. I don't want to expose my vulnerabilities. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be seen as a weirdo. So as a self-protective mechanism, I retreat to my own bubble, to isolation, to loneliness. Even though loneliness is hard to bear, but I felt it's better than being not understood, than being judged and being criticized and viewed negatively by other people, because that can be detrimental for a people pleaser like I was. In the sense, isolation and loneliness really trigger our deep sense of shame about who we are, about feeling inadequate, about feeling we're not worthy of other people's time and attention and care. So in this shameful state, we retrieve, and it fosters isolation and depression. And this is kind of a vicious cycle. So one way I've learned over the years to cope with is to really build nurturing relationships and to reach out to the people you know that are supportive, that are compassionate. In this case, I wanted to trust your guts, because when you don't feel comfortable with someone, either because they are bad for you or because they represent something that trigger you of your unhealed parts. So either way, at this stage, it's draining you and it scares you. It pushes you to withdraw. So don't do this. Don't reach out to those people at this stage yet. Find those supportive people. Find those people you feel comfortable hanging out around. You feel like you could be vulnerable with. You feel like you're getting nutrition from them. It's extremely important to co-regulate as well. When we don't have this ability, when we have not cultivated this ability of self-regulation, we need another positive limbic system to tune into. We need another positive nervous system to be attuned to, so that we can be elevated to their level, so that we can feel more calm and peace. We feel more accepted. When we feel accepted and loved, we would be at peace. We would be more grounded. Instead of drifting through life, feel like you don't belong somewhere, or feeling like you're a weirdo that you don't deserve someone's attention and care. We need to start small by building those nurturing relationships, to have those positive models in your life so that you can nurture trust, and eventually when it reaches the momentum, it helps you override the past negative experience. And that's how psychotherapy works, because when you are in therapy, you are learning to build a relationship that you never had before, this long-lasting, this nurturing, this caring relationship. And you're learning those new positive models to replace those negative things. Even though you admit that bad things happen to you, but you can learn that, well, maybe those views, those perceptions, those negative perceptions can be challenged, because now you have this lasting and stable relationship in your life. The third trigger is this inner critic that pushes you to achieve. For people who have been watching my channel, you know that I have been a bulimic for 15 years, since I was 12 years old. For years, I didn't know why, because I wasn't hungry at all. I just felt the need, this urge to binge. The pattern is that every time I hear this inner critic yelling at me, saying that you're a piece of shit, you're worthless, you're lazy, I hear those voices and I would believe it, and I would feel this pressure to achieve, to do something. But another part of me was resistant, because the real me really don't want to do anything. So what I would do to avoid this painful conflicts inside of me, I would go to eat. I would use food to cope with this. Next, I'm going to share how I use the parts work to overcome this inner critic, to soothe this inner critic so that I can return this more calm and relaxed and centered and grounded state. For example, there's a deadline tomorrow that I have to hand in a proposal to my boss. And when I wake up today in the morning, and this critical part would show up and tell me, well, just get shit down, just finish it. Don't eat anything, just finish it first. And I don't care what you do, you gotta finish it, or there will be consequences. So this part, getting yelled at, felt ashamed and felt hurt. But it was in a way resistant to this protector part. So there's a conflict between two parts of yourself. One part is this powerful, harsh inner critic that yells at you, that pushes you to achieve out of a protector's role, because it wants you to achieve something so that you don't have to be punished, so that there wouldn't be any consequences. And there's another part, which is the wounded child part. So this part felt ashamed, felt less than, felt inferior. So when this part becomes more hurt, when this part becomes more fearful and ashamed, the critical part gets even harsher and yelled more at this child. So it's like this vicious cycle going on in your head. To overcome this inner critic is to soothe its anxiety and fear. To maybe just to comment, to tell it, well, I know you're angry right now. I know that you are anxious because you're worried that I might get punished. But it's okay, don't worry, I got it. I know I can handle this, don't worry about it. Maybe do you need some soothing activities, like do you want to take a walk or something? Just try to negotiate and understand and be compassionate about the needs of this protector part. When this part gradually starts to dial down, you will notice that you don't hear those voices like so strongly anymore. And you will try to understand, well, it did its job to protect you. So you will feel more compassionate towards yourself as a whole as well. So when this critical part dials down, this hurted child becomes less afraid and less ashamed of itself, of its vulnerability. And it will be stronger and it will be more powerful and capable. And when it reaches a balanced state, you will become more soothed. You will calm down, either from this anxious state, or you will be re-stimulated to do something that's appealing and enjoyable to you, from this hyper-aroused, from this dissociated, numb, and depressive kind of state. Alright everyone, I hope this video is helpful. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you wanted to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.